The 22nd of August, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, second version, second part.
Part two. Very good. Okay. Thank you, Lou.
So
Um,
we read before that Yashar was in the eyes of man, and here we see that Yashar is in the eyes of Hashem.
right. So
Seems like a contradiction.
yeah, that's what we're gonna try and work on. One of the things we'll try and work on. That
Why is it a contradiction? You can have
let's go
two,
ahead, Roy.
three, four people having things right in their understanding. You can have a whole civilization believing what's right, and it is right, or the opposite.
Well, I think because if we think about the word Yashar, the root of that word is to be straight. So if you take it from the perspective of Hashem, then it's that Hashem is being straight with the world. There's no curveballs. There's no inconsistencies. Everything is coming straight. That's the underlying meaning of what it means to be fair. So if we say that it's Yashar in the eyes of Hashem, then we can draw upon the infinite knowledge and understanding of Hashem, of the full picture. But if we say in the eyes of people, we can't. So it could be a different thing. If Johnny says you gave a lollipop to Billy, and you didn't give a lollipop to me, that's not fair. So you may know that it is fair because you have fact that you know about Billy and Johnny that Johnny doesn't know.
Right.
If you want it to seem fair to Johnny, you got to give both of them a lollipop.
Right, because as Rashi said in the first pasuk, so it has to be Yasher Beinei Adam, that in the eyes of people. Now, people see things from their own perspective. People are biased to a greater or lesser extent, but everyone has their bias. So everyone's going to see things being fair from a different perspective. So how in the world are you supposed to do that?
Yeah, impossible.
So it could be, since it says first, it has to be tov beinei shemai, it has to be toiv in the eyes of heaven. So once you've established that, meaning you have to establish, and I'm not sure, maybe we'll have a chance to explain a little bit what it means, tov beinei shemayim. Once you've established that, so that's like your standard, that's your baseline. And then you have to apply it individually to each person. But the standard, the baseline is it's tov beinei shemayim. 1 minute. And also another thing we should make. Okay, 1 second. Um, okay, let me explain. There's a Rav Zilberstein has some comments on based on these definitions. He brings a he brings the following case. Let's say let's say you're working. Let's say you're working for somebody who needs an employee to work in his store. Doesn't say, doesn't go into the details what type of a store, what type of a job it is, but it says, there's a question as follows: Ruven Bikish Mishimun Shiasig Lo Poil Shu Adam Toiv Kedei La Vidoi Bachanutz Shel Ruven. So Ruven, the shopkeeper, asked Shimon to hire a worker for him who's an Adam Tov. He called him, I want an Adam Tov to work in his store, work in his shop. Now, Halvia Shimon is Levi. She'eg alatzmo shu Adam Tov. So, so Shimon went ahead and hired Levi, Levi said about himself that he's an Adam Tov. He's an Adam Tov. And based on that, so Reuben hired the Levi. V'hine his bar should be ben Adam lechavero, ein hu mitzdayin. Abu hu mitzdayin b'devarim ben Adam lamokum. But so it turns out that this Levi he wasn't so he didn't excel in Beta Anam Lechavero, but in Beta Anam Lamokum he excelled. Meaning, I'll give you another example. Rabbi Miller Zechon Baruch brings in the following example. You have two shopkeepers. Right? Both of them sell the same merchandise, right? One, he cheats his customers, but he's very, very nice to the customers, right? He's polite, he's helpful, right? But when it comes to measure out, to weigh the products, he always cheats them a little bit. So he's stealing from them. The other shopkeeper is a very mean person, he gets down on the customers. He embarrasses them sometimes, but he would never cheat them out of a penny. If there's any overcharge, he'll give the money back, right? He'll never, has to show him, try and steal from them, but he doesn't treat the customers nicely. Question is, who's a better shopkeeper? So the answer given is that the dishonest but polite shopkeeper is a better shopkeeper than the honest but unpolite shopkeeper. Questions why? Any ideas? Again, you have one shopkeeper, he's dishonest, but it's always polite. Another shopkeeper, he's not dishonest, but he's not polite. Why should the dishonest but polite shopkeeper be preferred over the polite but honest, the impolite but honest shopkeeper? Why should that be? Why should he be a better shopkeeper?
Well, you're dealing with goods. His personality is beside the point. Basically. The
So,
not being polite is not an avera, is it? Well, that's,
yeah, if a person's going to embarrass somebody, yell at somebody,
oh
would
well,
be
maybe
considered a
it is.
bearer. Yeah.
But nonetheless, you're dealing with goods, not with a person. That's what you came to him for.
Right.
And if you're uncomfortable, go elsewhere except to the dishonest person. With a dishonest person, you're helping him be dishonest by buying from him.
So you're somewhat implicated in the crime as well, in other words.
Yeah.
See, in both cases, they're both transgressions, they're both averas, they're both sins. Embarrassing somebody, not being polite to somebody, yelling at someone,
All right. Well,
calling the names, honest divine. Those are all transgressions. Stealing is also a transgression. Dishonesty is also a transgression.
well, that they've got that in common. In other words, so that sort of cancels each other out, so to speak. That leaves you with what you want from them.
But as you sort of pointed out, you touched on this point that if you're faced with the decision of going into each one of these two shops, right, and in either case you want a pound of salami, they're delicatessens. You want a pound of salami, sliced salami, right? Kavod Shabbos Kodesh, a pound of salami. So when you come out of one shop, you're going to have a little less than a pound. You're going to be paying for a pound, but you're going to get a little less than a pound. But he's going to make you feel great. He's going to say a good morning, have a nice Shabbos, right? He's going to compliment you. You feel wonderful. But in the end, you've been cheated. The other shop, you're going to come out with exactly a pound of salami, which is exactly what you paid for, but you're going to feel terrible. You've been yelled at. You've been maybe embarrassed. So even before you go into these two shops, and you're contemplating to which of these two shops you want to go and do your purchase in, if you know what's going on, you're weighing the pros and cons of going into either one of these two shops. On one hand, you're going to be stolen from, but on the other hand, you're going to feel very good. On the other hand, you won't be stolen from, but you're going to feel very bad. So, so that's what this shaila of Reb Zilberstein is dealing with. A person, he want again, what going back to the question that Reb Zilberstein is dealing with, that so and so wanted to hire a worker and he wanted an Adam Tov, and he asked someone Shimon to go hire someone, and he said he found him and he's a good person, an Adam Tov. Turns out though that he doesn't excel in Beit Adam L'Chavero, but in Beit Adam L'Makom, he's very, very careful. He excels in Beit Adam L'Makom. So how does he pose the question? So is if a person's not going to be considered Adam Tov because he's not nice to people, is that considered to be Adam Tov? So Teshuvah, what is an Adam Tov? With that expression, what does that expression mean, Adam Tov? A good person. Man, you hear this a lot of times. He's a good person. He's a good person. Right? You've heard that expression, Roy? Mary, you've heard that expression. He's a good person.
Certainly.
What exactly is that supposed to mean? He's a good person.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's what we're trying to find out about here. So it says here, Teshuvah, Adam Tov Lafi Lashon HaMikra, a Kavana, Shumitzayin b'mitzvah shebein Adam L'Makom. According to the way the Torah spells it out, an Adam Toiv is someone who excels in mitzvahs bein Adam L'Makom. Why? How is that? Shekaseh b'Rashi b'Devarim Yud Beis Chavches. That's our pasuk. That's the pasuk we started out with today. Laman yitev l'cha u'menechem achrecha ad olam t'tasa toiv v'yasher b'nei Hashem Elokecha. Right? To do what's Hatoiv v'yasher b'nei Hashem Elokecha. V'kasev Rashi, Hatov b'nei Shemayim, v'yasher b'nei Adam. Shari b'mitzvah shebeinem l'chavero hamitztayin, who nikra osher yosher. When a person's going to be excelling in mitzvahs b'nei l'chavero, that's considered what's a person's yosher. He's yosher. He's fair. A person who's a fair person, he's very careful in how he treats other people. Toiv, right, is going on someone who does things which are tov in the eyes of heaven. So therefore, if a person says he's a good person, right, even though he's not so careful in mitzvahs benam lechavero, dealing with other people, it can still be considered et adam tov, because tov, according to the Rashi we first saw, tov is something which is in the eyes of heaven, not in the fairness of people's eyes, as Yasha is talking about. However, he hedges a little bit in his definition. Ulam yitaken b'lashon b'nei adam adam hatoiv kavana hi lebein adam l'chaveru v'im kein meka batal. It could be that when you say that a person's a good person, they're really thinking about that he's being good with people. He's someone who's careful with other people's feelings, not to talk lashon hara against them, not to do things which would embarrass them, right? That could also be considered what an adam tov is. In which case, then a person who's hired to be a good person and he's not going to be nice, right? That could be that he's not obligated to stand by the agreement of his hire. Now, what does it mean? It could mean that when it says hayasher, that's talking about Yasher is talking about a specific case. What does it mean, Yasher? Yeah. One second. Yeah, right. So a little bit like we said, the baseline when Rashi says toiv has to be b'nei shemayim, so it has to be in a absolute way that it's tov, meaning to whoever you're dealing with, whatever type of a person you're dealing with. Because as we said, when it comes to being Yosher seems to be, when we say Beinei Adam, in the eyes of people, that's a very big variable. What's considered to be good and what's supposed to be fair in the eyes of people, that's a very big variable, as we said, Lou. Remember? That was your question. Being fair in the eye, if you're going to say something is supposed to be, for example, in this case, fair in the eyes of people, that's a very big spectrum of people's understanding, feelings of what they consider to be fair. So if you make the standard based on what's toiv, if it's essentially toiv b'nei and shemayim, in the realm of the Kadosh Baruch Hu's perspective, it's toiv. So I mean, it has to be toiv. Now, how do you apply that toiv? Meaning, I'll go back to what to Lou, your example, the candy bar and Hilly and Billy, right? Go back to right. So a person gives Hilly a candy bar, but he doesn't give Billy a candy bar. So that you would say that's not fair, right? That's not fair. But if you know that it's toiv, if you know that it's essentially tov, it will be fair. Why? Because what's toiv? What's the toiv? The toiv takes into all the considerations. Beinei shemayim, you have to take all the considerations into effect. That's what it means. Beinei shemayim. From shemayim's perspective, everything is seen, everything is known, past, present, and future. So from that perspective, if it's tov, right, then even if you give a candy bar to Hilly and you don't give a candy bar to Billy, if you know the toiv of it, you know the complete absolute spectrum of possibilities and circumstances dealing with this particular case, then it's going to be yosher. It'll be fair because why? Because let's say for example, you know that one of these this Billy fellow who's not going to get the candy bar, right? You could if you know he's in fact allergic to the contents of the candy bar, right? If you know he's going to have a bad reaction to the candy bar, so it is yosher not to give him. It would be not yosher. It would not be fair to give it to him, and in fact, it wouldn't even be good to give it to him. So, if it comes first, when we are about to do something, we have to make two evaluations. Number one, is it in fact tov? Meaning, is it something which Hashem would approve of? Bearing all the considerations that we can imagine in mind, right? Again, we can only do as much as we humanly can do. Hashem doesn't expect us to do more than we can humanly do. But did we do enough investigation to know what the real tov is here, right? And once we do that, then now you can apply the fair. Then you can apply the yosher. What's the yosher? A yosher is only going to develop after you have your baseline of tov. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we'll go on to another pasuk. 1 second. Okay, very good. Let's let's go to again Perik Yud Base pasuk Chaf Gimel. Pasuk Chaf Gimel.
Rav Gimel 23. Rak Chazak Bevilti Achol Hadam Ki Hadam Hu Hanefesh Velo Sochal Hanefesh Im Habasar. Okay, so 23. Only be strong and do not eat blood, because blood is the soul. And do not eat the soul with the meat. Okay, so Rashi says, Rak chazak levilti echol hadam, only be strong, do not eat the blood, mima she ne'emar, from that which it says, chazak, be strong, ata lamed, you learn, shehayu shetufim bedam la'achlo, that they were steeped in blood to eat it. That is, that eating blood was a common practice. Lefichach chutz rach lamar chazak. Therefore, it was necessary to teach, or to say, be strong. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, that's the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rebbe Shimon ben Azai Omer, Rabbi Shimon ben Azai says, Lo va hakasuv ella lehazhircha. The verse only came to warn you, ule lamedcha, and to teach you, ad kama ata tzarich lehis chazek b'mitzvos, until how much you need to be strong regarding mitzvahs. Im hadam shehu kol lehishamer mimenu. If with blood that it is easy to guard against eating it, she'ein adam misaveh lo, that a person doesn't really desire it. Hutzrach lechazekcha be'az haraso. It needed to strengthen you, i.e., to encourage you regarding this negative commandment. Kol v'chomer lishar mitzvos. Is it not logical with other commandments, which we do desire? We have to be strengthened.
Right. Very good. Very good.
V'lo sochal hanefesh im habasar. Do not eat the soul with the meat. Azhara. This is a warning. The aver min hachai, against eating the limb from a living animal.
Okay. Very good. Now, let's see. We have a few minutes. We have two opinions here. We have the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda and the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Azariah. Right? What's the do you understand? Do you see a difference between the two opinions?
Yeah. Rabbi Yehuda is looking at the environment in which the people were existing. Rabbi Shimon is not considering that at all. He's just talking about the nature of the commandment.
Okay. I think you want to clarify a little bit more. I think I know. I think I know what you're saying.
Well, Rabbi Yehuda says everybody was eating blood. So if you want to contradict, if you want to go against the social norms, it takes strength.
Very good.
But Rabbi Shimon is not talking about that at all. He's talking about how a person needs to be encouraged to do the commandments, because it's not easy to do the commandments.
Right. Good. And when it comes to dam, what does Reb Shimon hold about dam?
He says people don't like it.
They don't like
It
it.
doesn't taste good.
But Rabbi Yehuda says people are gobbling it up.
That's not necessarily a contradiction, though. It could be that people were eating blood because they felt that they didn't want to waste it, that it was nutritious.
This expression "shtufim medam v'ochlo," they're driven. They're driven to eat it.
Hmm.
No, a little bit, a little bit. I don't think they're arguing about the reality of the situation. That it could be. I think how you originally were saying, you spoke that Rabbi Yehuda is looking at the environment. The environment is these people are they're they're lusting after eating the dam. They have this almost perverted desire to eat blood, right? And Rabbi Shimon says people there's no taiva to eat blood. There's no there's nothing that people have an innate desire to eat blood,
And even so, we need to strengthen them.
right? So it could be that really they're not really maybe they're not arguing. It could be that normally speaking, there's no real desire to eat blood, right? But it could be because of however it started, like maybe like you said, maybe started out by the economically speaking, it's there's a lot of blood in those animals. We should really like I asked somebody, he comes from England, and there's such a thing called blood pudding. They make blood pudding. I don't know if they have it for dessert or for appetizer. I don't know what they do with it, but people eat it. People eat it.
It's really made out of blood?
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow.
you also have bloodwurst, blood sausages, right?
Yeah,
Blood sausages. And to tell you the truth, the reason we salt meat is because we have to remove the blood.
right.
So it could be based on various different economic, social, cultural nuances that people, according to Rabbi Yehuda, people really are they're gobbling this stuff up in one way or the other, right? But really, there's no, and according to Rabbi Shimon, there's real no desire for it. There's nothing attractive about it, right?
Right.
You see, what was the first maki in Mitzrayim? Blood, dam. The Egyptians weren't interested in drinking blood, were they?
I don't think so.
Otherwise, they would have been very happy, right? It says by the frogs, right? They piled up the frogs, the dead frogs, because they liked to eat the frogs. Frogs' legs, right? They liked to eat the frogs, right? So they're piling them up. So therefore, Hashem made them rot. They shouldn't benefit from the makkah. But blood, unless there's contrary evidence in Chazal, I don't think the Egyptians were interested in drinking blood. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been such a what would be the makkah? Okay, something, it needs a little, I tell you, it needs a little bit more clarification. The Machlokas, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon over here. All right, but I guess we'll have to stop now. All right,
Thank you, Rabbi.
good. Everyone should have a good afternoon, a good Shabbos, and hope to see you. Let's see. When are we going to start our regular schedule? There's 2 days Rosh Chodesh, so technically speaking, it doesn't begin. Rosh Chodesh doesn't begin until the second day on base. But I don't know. You didn't have a chance to speak to Rabbi Levitt or Rabbi Morsi what the schedule is going to be beginning next week? Are we going to go to a regular schedule beginning next week?
Well, Rabbi Levitt is going to regular schedule beginning on Sunday.
Oh, okay, very good. So I guess we'll do that too. We can start Sunday also.
Okay, I won't be here Sunday. In Mitzvah Hashem, I'm going on a tour.
Okay. Okay. So all right. So I guess that'll be with Mayor. I guess. Does it make any difference too? It's also Rosh Chodesh. Remember, the davening is going to be a little bit later on on Sunday
Right.
and Monday. Any particular preference when you would like to begin, at 9:30 or at 9 o'clock?
So if you begin at 9:30, it's going to push into Rabbi Levitt.
Yeah. Well, let's Rabbi Levitt begins what time?
10:45.
10:45. No, I mean, I would stop at 10:30 in any event. The only question is when to start.
Right.
But it's up to Mayor. Whenever you want to start at 9 o'clock, the regular schedule.
No, 9 o'clock would be pushing it too much. 9:30 would be better.
Okay, because of Rosh Chodesh.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That goes
So
for
let's-
Sunday and Monday, right?
well, okay. Well, let's maybe I don't know, Monday. I could look. We can start it maybe on Monday. We'll start at 9, and anyone who wants to join in can join in when they can. And we'll just review if we go a little bit ahead, unless it's going to be difficult for you on Monday and also at 9 o'clock. It's up to you, whatever you prefer.
How are you?
Okay.
Be on your break.
So let's leave it for 9:30 on Sunday, and then we'll Mitzvah Shem, maybe leave it for 9 o'clock on Monday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good Shabbos.
Very good.
All
Yes.
right. Have a good Shabbos. Thank you.
Okay, be well. Be well.